it's not that you're trying to put somebody in a headlock. You're really selling should be a way that you share your message and have someone connect with that message so that they can come to you and that you help them solve their problems. Okay.
So welcome to hey guys, welcome to the Midi Money Podcast. We've got with us
Awkward
Ill
transition.
Factor. Yeah, perfect, smooth, right? Grammy-nominated producer, worked with all your favorite artists and huge people, and incredible on the industry side as far as working with a ton of people. If you're watching this, you can see the plaques behind him. But also very successful and very smart on the entrepreneurial side, in education space and helping people. What did I miss? Is that a
Yeah,
quick summary of who you are?
the underwater basket weaving is no longer a thing. The
Okay.
crocheting with woolly mammoth hair, I don't do that anymore.
We
That's
were
in my
just talking
past.
about focus, having that
Yeah,
clear
okay.
roadmap.
um, yeah, man, dude, I've been really looking forward to this. Hanging out with you is always is a joy, man, and learning from you and what you've been able to accomplish and do to your with your crowd and everything you've been able to do, bro. It's inspiring, encouraging. So excited to be here and talk and geek out on many things, whether it be music production and how it overflows to other areas of our lives. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. No, I always love chatting with you. We were just before, I don't know how we're gonna edit this, but before you were talking about getting like a really clear roadmap for your business and really for your
Yeah.
customers. And man, yeah, I have a bunch to say about that, which is one of the things is just having clarity is so important for yourself, because
Yeah.
okay, here's now what I know what to do. Really important, especially when you're working with a team, because I know that's something I need to get better at, because it drives your team crazy, right? If you're like, here's the goal, and then they're all running towards that, and then it's like, just kidding, here's the goal, and
Yeah.
then they're running toward, and then everybody's crazy. But same thing for your customer, where it's like, okay, well, what is the goal? What is the ascension? What is the next step? Where does this fit in? I think all of that is super important.
Yeah, I was like I said, I jumped right into creating Beat Academy with the sense of, hey, here's what I can do to bring value to people. And
Right.
then as the years, so we're about almost 4 years in to as a platform, it's been growing every year, and I've been really blessed to have that. But I've been kind of being more reactive in the sense of like, what do you think people? And that's cool. That's part of the process where you're like asking, hey, how can I better serve you? What's going on? But never did I ever think about where what's the end game with all this? What is the goal? What is it if somebody were to step into my ecosystem? If somebody were to go into Beat Academy, what can they expect? Can they,
Mhm.
And I think that that lack of clarity actually hinders us as entrepreneurs. It hinders my members and it hinders me because
Yeah.
then they go in, they dip their toe in, they're like, well, I'm a little overwhelmed with a lot of the stuff that's in here already. I'm
Right.
kind of looking around. I'm confused. This is just another thing burden myself with. But if there's a clear messaging and a roadmap for them to say, hey, listen, stick around because if you fit in a stage or level one or level two,
Right.
know that level five is the end game here. So
Yeah.
it's not an all life commitment. This is my clear goal. And then actually there could be a stage six, which is like the mentoring where like now I can help you teach others go through that same cycle and kind of be a certified. So I think in all aspects of creating a business, and I know you're really good at this, equipping guys to create their own system and processes when they sell their beats, um, to think of what level of clarity can I give to even people buying my beats? Like
Right.
going above and beyond. I know it's like, how would this work on a beats level? I get it that you're managing a team, but I'm making beats. I'm selling my tracks. I'm putting them on beat stores or whatever it is that you're doing. I think a level of expectation to say, hey, here's the tracks. Here and not even as down as to like, here's what you can do. You can lease it. I'm talking about like maybe envisioning them saying, you can get these tracks placed on sync, film, and TV advertisement if
Mhm.
we can come together and do X, Y, and Z, right?
Yeah.
So you can even go above and beyond by just giving them beats. Even think about, hey, here's how to get the most of my beats. Here's this. It also includes 2 video tutorials that I've done. When you import them into your DAW, here's another free thing. Here's a great opportunity that I offer, right? So that's the kind of
Exactly
thing,
right.
like,
No, and
yeah,
that fits perfectly into what we teach producers about, whether if you are selling beats or courses or anything else, is part of it is putting together that offer, right, where you're bundling those products and services. But it's not, you're doing it wrong if you're just throwing a bunch of random shit in there, right? It comes
yeah,
from exactly what you're talking about, which is understanding what is the customer journey, what are they, where are they coming from, where are they going, and where do you fit in, and being really clear about that, right? And
yeah,
you're not necessarily, in fact, you're probably doing too much if you're trying to be a part of every step of that journey. But if you make it clear to them, hey, this is what the journey is, here's what the 5-step process is, you gotta, whatever, write your song, buy a beat, record it, release it, promote it, however deep you want to get
yeah,
into it. And then here's the tools I'm going to provide you with. I'm going to provide you with, a variety of beats. I'm going to, you're going to have to mix it. So like you said, I'm going to give you a Pro Tools template. You're also going to have to get some, some kind of artwork for it. So I'm going to either show you how you can like really easily do it for free by yourself on Canva, or I'm going to connect you with my dude who will, give, right. So it's understanding that helps you put together that offer. But then also, it's a framework, and now you're also teaching them the framework.
yeah,
You're teaching them how to be successful, because you're telling them here are the steps, and maybe I provide some of those steps. And then another layer to this, which is awesome for us as these business owners that get clear about, okay, here's the framework of, the life of a producer or an artist or whoever a customer is. Here's exactly where we fit in. It's really steps 3, 4, and 5. And now, guess who my best affiliate partners are going to be? The people who are dealing with steps 1 and 2 or 6
yeah,
and 7, because they're upstream or downstream. And now it's going to be perfect because this person is creating my customers for me. BeatStars is creating customers for Midi Money because it's really easy. They get in there, they're like, okay, this is kind of cool, but then they realize they're not making any money, and perfect. Now they're ready for me, right?
yeah.
Maybe it's I know you touch on a lot, but correct me if I'm wrong. Your main focus is here's how to create the best music. I know you touch on a lot. Um,
Yeah, yeah, no, bro, come on now, Gabe, preach it.
so
You're
so
crushing
then
it
so
there. Yeah,
therefore, you
absolutely.
could be a great affiliate for, okay, now you guys know how to create the music. Here's the best way to sell it, and now you send them
Right,
over to me, right?
right.
Or
Yeah,
I get into, yeah.
yeah,
And one more thing, basically the same thing for me. Okay, cool. Now I've taught you, okay, here's how to, kind of build your business and stuff. And then maybe I send them over to Russell Brunson, who's going to like elevate to the next level of entrepreneurship or whatever, that
yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah, man, it really is about adding that clarity. I love that word, the framework. And just to think that, hey, that's nice for that, that might, it sounds like a 30,000-foot view of what I'm doing. No, man, it really adds more clarity to yourself to know, like, hey, then this is what I need to focus on in providing. I'm not trying to be all things to everybody. I love that you said that, hey, partner with the guy who helps you with steps 1 through 2, and you focus on 3 and 4, and you just be a rocket science with 3 and 4. You do that thing well, and then, yeah, and then create that. I mean, even down to the granular, like selling beats. I mean, that's a great way to just be set apart from the average person who's like, check out my tracks. You want a Drake type beat? Here it is. But when I come with, yeah, here's the 5 steps to your personal artist roadmap. You got to record, write a song. If you need help with any of these, let me get check out Beat Academy. And then if you just need a beat, come to me. It's like all
Exactly
these
right.
different areas that really help out, create the pathway and a roadmap for somebody to go on to know, okay, yeah, when you go into like when you go to a school for the first time, right, or you go to a new building, the one thing that always brings comfort to you is when somebody gives you the map and says, what room are you supposed to go to? Here's exactly how you get there, right? It's this concept of like, here's what you got to do: go straight, make a right, and that's it. And the burden of like, okay, I feel less overwhelmed, I feel less confused, I feel like I'm actually belonging here, is because you now have a sense of a direction of where to go and where you're going to
Yes.
end up.
And you're gonna appreciate the person who taught you that framework. So to bring
Yeah,
it back to I mentioned Russell Brunson before. I talk about him a lot because that's one of my biggest mentors. One of his main product is software called ClickFunnels, right? And
Yep.
it's a page builder. That's what it is. It's a page builder, and it's designed to do certain things well. That are based off of kind of the type of business that he teaches to sell. But here's the thing, ClickFunnels is great, but Kajabi is just as good. It's certain things it's better. Maybe certain things it's not as good. And now there's a million
Yeah.
knockoffs. Most of them are honestly worse, but some of them are just as good as better. But for me, Russell Brunson taught me the entire framework of how to build a business from the ground up and all these concepts. And then he just showed, hey, having ClickFunnels is like just one tiny piece of that. But of
Yeah.
course, I'm going to sign up for ClickFunnels because he taught me this whole thing. And now I understand the framework. And now that's the tool. That's the piece where he fits in. And then he's also got coaching and different things. But that's, and then also I'm always going to associate it with him. Even if he does refer me out to somebody else, it's like, oh yeah, you taught me the framework. You sent me over here. So if you can be the person that's teaching the framework to your audience, whether if you're a producer and your audience is artists and you're telling them, hey, here's the framework. Like, I'm not just going to be one of those guys who's going to send you a beat and be on your way. Here's how to actually,
Yeah.
create it, promote it, and get it out there. Here's the framework. I really help with these 3 things, but here's the person to go before and after. Here's those resources. I think that's how you really build that clarity and that following, that connection that people have to you, because they're like, okay, even if Ill Factor doesn't do this, I know I can come to him and he's going to point me in the right direction and understand where I should go.
Right. Right. I mean, it's just a big thing. It's unpacking. It's taking a step back and realizing, okay, what's another angle that I can, um, bring that added value to the current circumstance. And it's great, man. It really is. I think definitely in the beat making world, I mean, is rarely are people thinking in that in that framework of like providing a framework for somebody to work in. So yeah,
Yeah.
cool, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and having that roadmap too is good. It's funny because as you were saying that, we had when we built Producer Funnel Secrets, which is sort of our flagship course that teaches, how to build your business from the ground up using funnels, all the cool stuff that how we were able to, do 7-figure selling beats, and basically how could we, walk somebody through that. And when we first did it, it was kind of all over the place where it was like, here's all this information
Yeah.
and here's kind of an order. I mean, there was an order, but then we did exactly what you did. It's like, okay, let's break this down into like phases. So we have like the foundation phase, and
Mhm.
then we have the activation phase, and then we've got the amplification phase, right? And it just helps. And then with each one of those, there's sort of these subsections, right? And so there's a couple things. One is like it's the same thing you're talking about, having that
Yeah.
framework of like, okay, which step are you at? And ultimately, they're kind of cyclical because you keep going back through them. But it also gamifies it in a way, right? It makes it
Yeah.
fun. We give them a checklist, and you can be like, cool, I checked off, phase 1, step 1, bam, now I go to step 2. And people can get really creative, by the way, with the gamification stuff where you can give rewards and do all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah.
But just even literally having it as simple as what we have right now in Producer Funnel Secrets, which is it's literally a checklist. It's the success path checklist. Almost sounded like
That
somebody else.
kind of path, but that's
Yeah, I
a whole
mean,
another podcast.
that's yeah. That's a different framework.
Yeah.
But anyways, it that also helps too to have that gamification to it
Yeah.
of like, oh, cool. I'm coming into Beat Academy, and I can check off these boxes, and now I'm here. And
Yeah.
maybe you get a badge, maybe you get a thing, maybe you get acknowledgement from the community, something, or you at least, like, at the very least, what we have with our checklist is you check it off and we say, hey, go share in the group that you did this, and everybody in the group is like, yeah, we know what it takes to do that shit is hard, and they're like, congrats bro, keep going. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly it. And celebrating every step that that person's taking in that framework is essential part too.
yeah.
That's good. Well, that got me excited because, like I said, that's something. So we're revisioning that and transitioning to a new stage with Bid Academy, and just excited to like implant that vision and cast that vision, not implant it, but cast it to the members and the team and all that. So that's been going, man. We've been doing good and growing on that end, and yeah, still keeping busy with projects. So
Mhm.
actually in the middle of a project now. What's cool about developing a lot of the independent artists that I've been coming across as opposed to the major recording artists is a lot of the indie artists, I have the ability to now like, hey, would it be cool if we just film the whole process of making this track and making this beat? Because I
Smart.
would love to use it for Beat Academy. And they're like, yeah, this is so cool. And I try to do that with like a major recording artist, and there's so much red tape, and there's like, no, the record label doesn't. I was like, all right, forget this crap. I
Mm,
almost don't want to work with major artists anymore for that fact. Well, I do, but it was like so much. Um, yeah, and there's just a lot of cool freedom to kind of experiment and go in many different directions and not have so many middlemen in the way directing where things should be going.
that's awesome.
So
So you're documenting more of the creation process, and then is
yeah,
that right?
yeah. A lot of what's being taught in Beat Academy is that the whole creative process, producing,
Mm, very
understanding
cool.
how to find your voice as an artist and or producer. And a lot of people that are becoming Beat Academy members are people who are like, I've been, uh, depending on other people to produce my beats or produce my tracks for me. I'm a singer or songwriter artist, but now I want to learn how to do it on my own and things like that. And they're kind of stepping into that role as well. So yeah, and a lot of the creative process I like to share is just like, how do we go from this spark of an idea, an 8-bar loop, and turn that into a full out song arranged with lyrics and melodies and the whole process, and how do you unlock that, right? So all that's really cool, and I'm always learning too. I'm always learning with. It's funny, like some of the same struggles that everybody struggles with when producing music, they're still there. They're like the main hurdles that everybody goes through. But with the way technology is right now, they're experiencing those hurdles differently. They're coming into those hurdles or running into those walls from different directions, and it's just cool seeing like, oh, okay, like people are struggling with 8-bar loops because their AI plugin that's making the loop for them is doing. It's like it's just crazy, like all this stuff that's being incorporated with the technology of music production. So yeah, man,
Cool. That
crazy
sounds like
world
fun.
we're in,
So
Gabe.
you're actually like as you're working with artists that you'd be working with anyways as a producer, you're documenting more of that and then showing that to your Beat Academy members. Is that right?
Yeah, or
Kind of?
purposely, like sometimes it's hard. Like I did this thing with Pure Mix with Jared, where we would create a track from scratch, and they filmed the whole process. They had
Cool.
the team in here. We filmed it. We then I gave it to a good friend of mine, Jimmy Douglas, to mix it, and then we had Dave Kirch who mastered it. So that whole process was filmed, put on Pure Mix, and so I would work with an artist. We would create, just get lost in the vibe, and then what I would do is like revisit. Hey, here's a song we did. Here's with the artist. Here's some key elements looking back now and breaking that down.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I've done the whole let's do something from scratch, and you got like 3 hours of footage of like a bunch of like stuff that just never worked out, and that because that's just how making music happens.
Of
You
course.
can't like it's not lightning in a bottle. So I
Yeah. Although some of these guys are killing, you see Illmind, Superstar O, some of these guys just get on there and just fucking make beats on Twitch, and
yeah, and that's fine.
well,
I
it's
actually
easier. It's easier, I guess, to just make a beat compared to you got an artist in there, and that because that's another
Right. Like
level
I do
of.
that actually as part of my live coaching calls on Beat Academy. One once a month we do two calls. So one call I'll listen to members' music and give critical feedback and certain things that they can do to go to take that song to the next step. And then there's another call where they'll submit some ideas, riffs, or little loops or whatever, and I'll take those elements and build a song from scratch on the spot. And those are also really cool. And mostly focus a lot on like from my area of background of how I've always produced more on like the pop lane, urban pop lane. But yeah, it's a little different when you've got artists, singer songwriters in here, and there's other humans involved. So you're dealing with the psychology of all that and working
Oh
things
yeah.
out and trying to and they're like singing it. So I at least like, hey, let's just vibe, let's get the songs out, and then we'll go ahead and kind of do a commentary of
Yeah.
our thought process behind the thing like that.
Yeah, I've definitely done the remaking of the making.
Yeah.
you know, Definitely a little bit easier. But I do think, people are more and more interested in that, and depending on how you kind of package it, it can be interesting. Where like it's like, yes, probably not going to go up on YouTube as a 5 hour video, but maybe you do stream it, and there are some people who are going to want to just chill out and have that on, and that
Yeah.
will be interesting. I think that definitely seems to be not even the direction we're going. It's kind of where we are, where people want more and more access, and they like to kind of see as much behind the scenes as possible.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out if I can do it, or if anybody would be interested in some equivalent of that on the entrepreneurship side, which I think is much less interesting, where it's like streaming me fucking building a funnel or something. But
Yeah.
I do that in coaching, and people are into. So I think it's just a very specific niche of people who
I
are
think
into
so
that
too,
stuff.
man. I think like people like you and I who geek out and those kind of things, it's a niche, but I think we're also hung up on the what's the quickest way to patch the holes in my sinking ship kind of thing. Like how do I put out some of these fires, or how do I skip the line and get to the top of the mountain kind of thing. I think that's a lot of times what a lot of people are looking for. And they bypass the small steps that are taken to get to where a lot of the people that we're looking up to get to. And
Mm.
so yeah,
What
I
do you
think there's
mean?
that.
Like what I mean, I
Okay,
think I can imagine, but maybe
so
something.
like there would be disconnect. So I think like doing a stream was like, hey, we're gonna build a funnel. I'm gonna walk you through every step, build a funnel, and yeah, like that's awesome. I would sit back and watch. Oh, great, because we you and I we can appreciate the nuances that go into, because we know in an ad paying world and all these things that even the tweaking one line of something makes a big difference. And so you're like, oh, okay, cool. I see how you're structuring the funnel. Okay, that makes sense. But I think there could be the disconnect where people are like, ah, just just tell me what I need to do to make $1 million. I was like, no, you're,
Yeah. No, I
you're
get
not
it.
understanding that these are, and just because you put the funnel together,
Mhm.
that's the shell. Now the meat that goes in there is like the hard work and the bumps and scrapes that come along the way with all. And that's kind of what I was getting at. Does that make sense? Like,
Definitely. No, that's the challenge. I mean, it's a challenge with anything. Anything
yes,
that's worth doing is going to be hard to do, but for sure, especially when it's involving money or business, it's like, yeah, just do it for me. And I get it. I mean, it's human nature. I want somebody to push a button and I have
yeah, man,
and take, and now I have an 8 figure business. Like, I don't want to do the work. I mean, in some ways, of course, I do enjoy it and whatever, but if I could push a button, and yeah, I think that there's got to be a certain level of understanding, and sometimes you don't know that until you know it. Like you just think, yeah, I guess maybe I heard about, we're using the example of funnels. I heard about funnels. If somebody would just build me this funnel, then I'd be rich. And it's like, well, not quite.
yeah,
It fits into this 7 step framework, and it's a very important step of it. But if you'd only do that step, then it's just sitting there, and nobody's gonna see it. Blah
right.
blah blah.
Right. That's what I was getting at. That's what I guess, because
Yeah,
they would spotlight saying, okay, that's it, and that's not you're right. That's
and it's
the one pixel out of when you step back and look at the whole picture. You're like, oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, and that's been a challenge for me too with my messaging with Midi Money is to get people excited enough, you have to show the possibility like, hey, we made $1 million, we, did the 6 figure launch, we made $200,000 last week, like all those things are true. But balancing that enough with it takes a shitload of work and time and energy, and you have to build up to it, and but to get people excited enough to put in the time and energy, there's like this balance, right? If I start with, okay, here's this thing that I want you to, that in 2 years, you might actually have a life where like you're completely living off your music and you feel
Yep.
empowered and it's great. And, similar to my story, whatever. But it's going to be 2 years of like really fucking hard work and getting frustrated and being annoyed and doubting yourself. And, it's like how much of that do you put on the front end,
Yeah.
um where it's like this balance between, for one thing, they have to buy in enough to even start in the first place.
Yeah.
They also have to have enough expectations of how hard it's going to be, that the first time it gets hard they don't give up, so that's been a little bit of a challenge for me, is
Yeah.
like how, yeah, I don't know, does that make
That, that
sense?
Yeah, that's a challenge for everyone, right?
Yeah.
How do you not cross that threshold of trying to sell a bill of goods? You don't want to shortchange anybody. You want to
Right.
be honest in what you're trying to deliver. You don't want to sound like, hey, with just three easy steps and one really hard step, you too can be a man. I was like, okay, you don't want to be that guy, and I totally get it. But then you don't want to also, distance expectation from reality. You
Right.
don't want to do that. You don't say, hey, yeah, it is possible, but and I think with more and more people coming out of the woodwork, you start to see more and more ads hit your Instagram or whatever of so many people being gurus and doing, hey, here's how you can do it. I think more and more people are becoming aware of like the substance behind somebody who can really help them get through those initial 2 years of the growing pains. They can smell it a mile away. I think certain people are starting to realize, yeah, this is another Amazon affiliate click, drop shipping thing. And hey, those things work, but I guess you just have to work extra, extra, extra hard to get those things going. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Coming
That's a
from the
tricky
school
one.
of, I'm coming from the school of, well, the slow, long game of just putting
Mhm.
out the content out there on YouTube and putting, uh, leading people with that value. And if you can't afford Beat Academy, don't worry. That's what my YouTube channel's for.
Right.
Take advantage of all that stuff there and at your own pace. And when you're ready to take that next step, we're here for you. And bam,
Yeah.
when you get into that, so that's how I'm seeing it. That's how I'm treating it. Um, there are days where I wish, yeah, I'm the same way, bro. Can I just push a button and this thing, like, can we 10x this whole thing?
Yeah.
Uh, and my temptation to do that, can come from sometimes from the lack of clarity of knowing what I need to do, where are some of the weak links in my current process right now. What do I need to reevaluate, as opposed to, what I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
those temptations to want to just hit the button and 10x growth. I mean, that's a good thing because money's just going to amplify the good that we're doing. I'm not looking at it as
Sure.
a bad thing. I'm just looking like, is the temptation to 10x this coming from a place of, uh I just want it to 10x, or is it like I'm just frustrated that things are just not moving the right way right now, and I'm not willing to take a look at those issues and reapproach them differently.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to go back to one thing you said where it's like, people can, I forget what we said exactly, like kind of smell a mile away, I guess, if
Yeah.
people are being authentic or not. I disagree.
Oh, cool.
I think that people are so skeptical, and I think maybe even more in the producer community than others. Maybe that's just because who I deal with more. That there's this level of skepticism um, that's actually bad. Like obviously if you're like every advertisement thing, everything I see, I believe and I'm going to click and I'm going to pull up my credit card, like clearly that's a bad idea. But what's interesting is I can kind of relate because I really
Wait,
didn't get
are,
into
are,
yeah, go
are
ahead.
you saying, I wanted to understand. So you're saying that there's more pushback, there's more skepticism? Yeah, I think that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's what I meant. That there was more skepticism because there's more people coming out of the woodwork promising or making empty promises or something, I guess. Or yeah, they're doing this is how I can make $1 million overnight if I do these things. So they put that stuff out there, and then people are smelling that a mile away, where they're like, I don't know, I'm very skeptic because this seems a
Yeah.
little. That's what I
So
was
okay,
getting at.
so then really I'm agreeing with you. I guess what I'm saying is the unfortunate part of that is you get a lot of false positives on looking
Yes.
for scams, right? So now
Yeah.
or false, I don't know, whatever. Like basically, obviously basically what I'm referring to myself. Hey, I've got a thing that says, "Hey, I'm going to show you how to make money with your beats." It's very easy, especially when somebody says, "I'm going to teach you how to make money," to just go, "This is a scam," right? It's just
Yeah.
like, arms folded like I've seen this before. Like, obviously, this is a scam. And so I just think that doesn't serve people to be that level of skeptical. And I'm a skeptical person. Like, I consider myself a skeptic. Like, as a, there's different connotations of that word, but like, I like to see things before I believe them, that type of thing. And before I got into marketing and business and all this stuff, which is relatively recent, it's certainly less than 10 years ago. I was very much that person where I almost felt like as soon as I could tell somebody was selling something, I immediately was repelled. And I immediately said, like, I'm almost not going to take this action just because I can tell this person is selling me and wants me to do it. So like I'm smarter than them because I can see that's what you want me to do, so I'm not going to do it. Even
Wow.
though some of those times if I did that thing it would actually be really good for me, right? And that's what I've learned now through marketing and entrepreneurship is seeing so many examples of people who are my mentors in entrepreneurship and stuff where it's like the fact that they did sell me is the reason why now I have this incredible life. Like literally the
Yeah.
fact that they sold that hard or the fact that they convinced or whatever it
Yeah.
is, so now I have a completely opposite look at it to a certain extent of like, hey, selling is good. Obviously it's super powerful, can be used for evil very easily. There's a ton of bad actors out there. But I just think that's a message I want to get out there a little bit to the producer community too, is don't outsmart yourself. Don't be like, oh, I can tell this fucker is like, he's saying it's a free training, but he's going to charge me and
Yeah.
therefore I'm smarter than he is. And I've heard, oh, you had your story and this is how you overcame. I've heard that before. Therefore, this is bullshit. It's like, no, maybe you've heard this before. Maybe there's a reason why people tell their story that way because it's effective and really do a little more research and really do your best to fill it out. And hey, if there's a money back guarantee, then take a risk on something if you feel like it might be right and it might actually change your life.
That's a great point, man. I think you really are touching on something important. The notion of once you know how the sausage is being made, right? Like once you've been to the factory, you're like, oh, so that's how the webinars are done. That's how this stuff is. You start to decode it, like you're Neo. You
Yeah.
can start to see the Matrix now, right? You see the ones and zeros. You see everything's like, and I agree with you. I think that there can be an unhealthy level of like, well, I know how this stuff works. So there's a pitch at the end. It's like, yeah, there is going to be a pitch at the end. But you know what separates the bad pitches from the good ones was did you gain anything even from the upfront value that they were giving you? And
Right.
sometimes they'll just let you know. So, look, man, at the end, I am going to pitch you something, but hopefully that my job during our time together is I'm going to help you. And
Yeah.
and
And
that's kind of
I
what I'm.
started doing that at the beginning of my webinars, by the way,
Yeah.
exactly for this reason. I didn't at first, but it's just everybody's already thinking it, so
Yeah.
that's
So
that's
just
one.
call it out. Yeah, just call it out, and then just say, "Hey, look," and that's cool. If you're not comfortable with that, then you can leave. But I hope that what I'm sharing and doing is going to resonate with you in such a way that it'll tear that wall down and allow me to serve you even after the paid. Even with what I want to provide for you, because that's look. That at the end of the day, that's what we want to do. We want to create a platform and create a. A way to connect with people that really helps them take their next step with their music, me with the production and just their career in general, and I think that's important. So yeah, I totally know. And no, being an entrepreneur, you scroll through, you're like, oh, look at that ad. But now I'm looking at like that's a pretty good copy. I'm like, hey,
Right, right.
that's a good angle. That's a good way to. And now that's how I see it. I'm like, dude is killing it. That's a good. I need to study that. I mean, or who wrote this person's email copy? Like all these things now
Totally.
are now being looked in the lens of like, what can I learn from this? Look at their
Yes.
comments. Look how are people reacting to this ad? Maybe I shouldn't do it. It really is. I'm not totally not hating on them anymore as I used to at
Yeah,
the
me
beginning.
too. No, I think that's really smart what you said there because yes, I do that too for sure. Um, and I've talked before about that skepticism thing, but I think next time I talk about it, I think that's a perfect thing to put together of like, okay, maybe you're being skeptical now. Here's instead of just me complaining about that, I like what I'm going to start doing is what you did. Here's an alternative. Now, instead of looking at that and being like, oh fuck this guy, he's selling, look at what they're doing and see, hey, is this something that does seem effective, that did affect me in a way that maybe if I'm the guy who's selling beats or whatever, I can use this as long as it's not sleazy and
Right.
misleading. Of course, like hopefully that goes without saying. Like, yeah, then look at that and see, okay, I see how that came across wrong. I'm not going to do that. And now all of a sudden you're being active. you're being an entrepreneur, you're going to help
Yeah.
your own business, and you're stop going to outsmarting yourself to avoid any opportunities, including the good ones.
Yeah, it's also redefining the terms to yourself. I mean, I grew up with just even a negative association to selling anything. I grew
Sure.
up,
Yeah, me
you
too.
know,
I think
I,
almost everybody did.
a lot of people do. I grew up. I'm Cuban Puerto Rican. I lived, born and raised here in Miami, and my dad, growing up, I had to go with him to sell at this Opalaka outdoor flea market, and at the age of 6, and it was just a hustle and a grind. It's me trying to sell belts and car stereos to a bunch of people walking around the street like, hey dada, $5 mama, and I'm just walking around to a bunch of these Haitian people walking around, and I'm this little Irish looking Puerto Rican Cuban kid in the street trying to sell mixtapes and car stereos and things like that. And I hated the association, the hustle that goes behind it. So I totally get it, man. And um so it's just kind of redefining what it is. And I think it was like Russell Brunson, not Russell Brunson, Brandon Burchard,
Hmm.
Bernard, or Jeff Walker, one of those guys. It was one of these guys when I was getting into this space of figuring out how can I do this and turn this into a business. And Grant Cochran was a huge good friend of mine, and he helped me a lot with envisioning this and realizing, dude, it's not that you're trying to put somebody in a headlock. You're really selling should be a way that you share your message and have someone connect with that message so that they can come to you and that you help them solve their problems. and
Yes,
and that's what it
exactly right.
is. And unfortunately, selling could have a negative connotation. You can do it the other way. How can I take advantage of the people who don't know any better?
Right.
That's the selling, I think, that a lot of people think of car salesman or something. But there's great car salesmen too. Like, they're like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm
Guess what?
genuinely, yeah.
I want a car, so hopefully somebody's gonna sell me one.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
just don't rip
So
me off and give me some bullshit, that I don't need.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's cool, man. I think it's important on this side of the fence, looking out like, okay, if I'm going to start selling, beads, or create some kind of side or income from the music production or teaching people all of these, I think it's really, yeah, grabbing a hold of those terms and just kind of feeling, just kind of knowing, okay, like, I'm not trying to be a sleazeball. I really do want to help people. So
Yeah.
now that that burden or that guard is down, yeah, what's the best way to do
Right. Yeah. If you believe that your product helps people, then now you're an asshole for not selling it to them.
that?
Right? Right? If you're
It's
like,
crazy.
man, I know Beat Academy, I truly believe is the best way for a producer to get better at producing, then it's your job to
Yeah.
let people know. Like it's actually you're doing people a disservice if you're not selling hard enough because you're not helping them, you know? So
Yeah.
that to me is entrepreneurship at its finest is solving problems, and that's how I got into it. And I know there's all kinds of hustles, and some are completely scammy and some are just kind of offer no value, and just like the some of the business stuff that I don't have much interest in is like stuff where you're just like flipping stuff or exchanging stuff. Like, not to put that down because I know there's a whole culture and it's cool and it is what it is. But to
Totally
me, I
with you.
love the idea of I have a problem or sorry, my customer has a problem, I can solve that. To me, that's what business and entrepreneurship is about.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Look, the real estate game and all that, and even now with the crypto NFT, let me sell a digital blueprint of a duck vomiting on itself. I don't. It's still like I flip, and I'm like, I think the allure of that is that quick. Oh, you mean overnight I can make this? It's this allure of this can be happening really quick. And I think for me personally, that's the temptation to be like, well, yeah, okay, so what's the catch on all this? Yeah, I don't look down upon that, but to
Right.
me, that was not what became magnetic into the entrepreneurial drive of like, okay, like, as opposed to coming alongside of like, I'm creating Beat Academy as a platform where I can virtually come alongside you and help you produce better music. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I'm passionate about. And that's what I'm
Yeah.
passionate about in this stage of my life. If this was 10, 12 years ago, I wouldn't be there because I was still passionate about, like, I want to get records placed. I'm still working with so and so and the networking, but Yeah, I'm in a different stage of my life. I've had some people ask me like, "So why are you doing this? Is it because you're not producing music anymore, or you can't make placements?" Like, no, I'm still very much working with major recording artists. It's just like I don't want to be in the studio till 4 in the morning, hoping, praying, and wishing that my song get placed on the next Rihanna album. I've got a wife, I've got 4 kids. I want to provide a type of lifestyle that I'm allowed to connect with them and invest in that relationship. So yeah, it was just another season. And so I don't look down on the guy who's in the studio to like, from 7 to 7. That's the grind. That's what I did for
Bro, that was me for, a
yeah,
decade plus.
that's what I did, man. I was in the studio. I mean, it was like, hey, I would go to Hit Factory, 3 o'clock, and then be there till 3 in the morning. Get a couple hours, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. That's the grind. Got it.
Right.
Totally respect it. I'm just not. I'm not that young anymore, man. That's
I
I'm
feel it.
just not there anymore.
I feel it. I gotta ask you because you kind of just brought it up in passing, but NFTs, Web3, crypto,
Here we go.
blockchain. I know it has to come up now. Well, I'll tell you what's one thing that might be interesting or funny for people who have been watching or listening to this podcast. When it first started really hyping up, I had a few different people on here, and it was almost like I was grilling them. Like I was really like skeptical. And always from the start, I said, hey, I think, a lot of smart people are saying this is going to change everything. Everything's going to be a smart contract. I was like, so probably. But I was trying to see what is the value right now, and is there actually any reason why I should be focusing on it? And for a long time, my answer was, not really. Like you said, it's, these profile pictures that sell for $1 million, and I don't, what is that? I don't get it. Um, until probably a few months ago, it really started to shift for me when I started to see some of the ways that you can use this. And so let me tell you my little journey. Well, actually, hold on. Yeah, let me hear where you're at first.
Please enlighten me. Okay, because I'm in the same boat still.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm weighing in on just like, I guess this is what it feels like to just get older and be left behind with technology. Not in a sense, but I'm looking at it the perspective because I've heard a lot of people say now you can release music and you could do NFTs in which you do shared copyright. I go, but do you not know the ramification, like the headaches of splitting copyrights, and because it's a derivative work, and there's a public like the publishing. So I'm looking at from the publishing aspect, and I'm going crazy. Like that's just nuts. Although the NFT concept is great because now you can create this um, unique bundle of something and
Yeah.
create the value for it to say this is going to be an exclusive thing for for the fans that want to go extra deep and want to get the vinyl of this, that this NFT will include 2 tickets to the show. That stuff makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it, though, at the current state, it's working for the hierarchy, meaning like the Jay-Z's and Beyoncé's of the world, where if they drop like, hey, you buy this new album, you'll get a strand of my hair, and it's going to be like, like that makes sense because of the fame and the worth of that item, right?
Yeah.
But to a Jane, a Joe Schmo who's an independent artist and putting the music on, trying to do this, trying to climb the hurdles of all these NFT things, I'm like, where's that subjective value? Because that's what it is. It's really a subjective point of value. So that's where I'm at.
Hmm.
I have respect for the technology aiming that way. I definitely
Right.
do see the potential with blockchain and being able to have smart contracts. I mean, we're going there. But
Yeah.
when the NFTs placed on this pedestal is like this is the revolution of music, I'm like, well, let's okay, for who? For the
Yeah.
Jay-Z's of the world? Sure. But for you guys, how does that play out? So that's where I'm at. Does that make
Okay,
sense?
I love it. I love it. Makes 100% sense because it's basically exactly where I was at a few months ago, and let me see if I can nudge you a little closer to where I'm at now.
Do it.
So first off, the big promise of somehow like ownership plus complete transparency plus anonymity, which doesn't even make sense, plus copyrights and content ID are all fixed. Bullshit.
Yes,
We're nowhere near it. And
I
I
agree.
can imagine that this technology will eventually be part of or the solution. We're nowhere near that. it's just not, don't, to me. So throw that out the window,
Yeah,
basically.
that's the biggest hang up for me too. I was like,
Yeah.
there's no way. Because I go, a lot of people don't even realize how song publishing works, how music publishing works to begin with, let alone throw the whole concept of NFTs and blockchains on top. Like, do you even know how publishing even works to begin with? It's a nightmare. Today, there's like there's 1.3 billion dollars in hold because of unclaimed copyright. So like I'll let you move on, but
Yeah.
so when two or three people write on a song and they have different copyright claims of that song. So one person says, "Hey, I own 30% publishing on the song." And then that other person says, "No, you own 20%." And they submit that information. Then the record label say, "Well, we're not paying anybody until everybody's on an agreeable term for the even splits of a song." And so then what happens is the record label is holding about $1.3 billion of withheld royalties
Yeah.
because of
The performing rights organizations, right?
Yes.
Not the labels.
Well, the
Or maybe
label
it depends if the labels own, never mind. I'll
so
let you keep going. It
no,
doesn't
no.
matter.
So the labels, let's say Universal Publishing. So the labels
Yeah.
that own publishing on an
Yeah.
artist. So let's take this. Here's a great example, right? So there's a song with Rick Ross that I worked on and like three other artists. Well, there's three conflicting splits amounts. So everybody submitted three different amounts that it was like, well, this is conflicting. So Universal held like, well, we're not going to pay out anybody till this is
Gotcha.
resolved. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
I got you.
so what ends up happening is that money just gets stuck there. Now that's here today going on now. I can only imagine the complexity of what you were talking. So that's what hung me up.
Yeah.
Sorry to go down a rabbit hole. Keep
No.
going.
For sure.
I'm gonna stay
So
back and relax.
I'm with you on that, and you're more knowledgeable on that side of things than I am, and I can very clearly see that we're nowhere near having a solution to that. And again, I think it's very possible that smart contracts will someday help with that. One thing, maybe just to bridge it a little bit, that I've seen that seems like a somewhat practical version of that, and then I'll get to the part that I really think is cool right now. Is I have seen a version of where like, hey, I'm gonna release this song as essentially an NFT. Everybody, I'm going to do 100 of them, and you get a certain percentage of, let's say, the royalties from, like, if I put it out through a DSP, like I put it out through DistroKid, the money that comes into DistroKid, that a percentage of that is going to get released to each of those holders. So that's just like one very small, not the whole puzzle, but that's one small use case that I think actually can work right now.
Yeah.
So anyways, but that, again, that's one very small piece of the puzzle. Okay, but here's what's really cool. Here's what kind of turned me around. And really it was talking to my buddy Omari. I don't know if you know Omari, super smart guy in the music sort of marketing and production space. Omari MC, and he had launched his creator coin on a platform called rally.io. It's also the same platform that Illmind is on. He's got Blapcoin, so basically it allows you to create your own cryptocurrency, right? Or they call it a creator coin, and so what you can do with that is you can essentially use that as the gate for people to access different things. So, for example, you can say, hey, if you hold 500 ill factor tokens, then you have a membership. And you just get that membership and you just hold on to that. Now one of the benefits to your customer is they spent however much they spent. Maybe they spent $60, for example, for 500 of ill factor coin, right? And they're just holding it. Yeah. They still own that coin, and the value of the coin might go up over the course of that year, and then they can actually sell that to somebody else. And they still get all the benefit of it. The benefit to you is the more people who hold that coin, the more value that coin has, and it goes up. So essentially, and this is just one very specific, case, but what it basically does is it gives your community a vested interest in the success of your business. Because the more people that hold this coin, the more the value of the coin goes up, and the more that everybody literally gets more value, like actually makes money from it. So it's almost like an affiliate program in a way, not quite as transactional. It's actually more like we're all a piece of this. We all own kind of like a part of this. And so that's at least one kind of use case.
Yeah.
And I can get into more. What do you think so far?
Yeah. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you're creating a currency where the
Uh-huh.
value for that currency
Mhm.
is exchanged for whatever services or whatever it is that you're setting, right? Yeah, I think
Yes.
Illmind's doing that now with his night thing, and that he's creating a coin where, yeah, I did understand. I saw that, and I was like, well,
Okay.
that's cool. That's like the whole that's Chuck E. Cheese model, right? The whole Chuck E. Cheese model is that you go into the store, you can't you got to use the tokens, right?
Hmm.
The little coins to play the games, and then they'll give you tickets from those
Hmm.
coins, and how many tickets you got, you can get the prize. The thing is that prize is like worth like 25 cents when you get outside of the thing. But you're right, you're
Yeah.
creating an ecosystem where the value of that coin is, and you're saying,
A
when you
couple.
said more people
Yeah. Go
have the
ahead.
coin, that one coin that person sold, or are you saying just in general, like when they
So
buy
with the
in?
coin, and just to clarify, this is separate from NFTs, which we can talk about in a second.
Gotcha.
This
Okay.
right. So the more
This is
people,
blockchain.
yes, both happen on the blockchain. Both cryptocurrencies and NFTs are a result of blockchain technology, but they're different things. The difference is fungibility, right? So one Bitcoin is the same as another Bitcoin, but one NFT is actually different than the other NFT. That's the
Okay.
difference. So in this case, we're talking about this crypto. So one of the differences between Chuck E. Cheese and this is you don't necessarily, depending on how you want to set it up, you can set it up where it's like, hey, if you give me essentially my coin back and you buy stuff with this coin, you can buy stuff. But also just by holding it, you get that value. So that's one thing. And then you can sell
Oh,
that, and there's a market that's built in. The infrastructure is there where you press one button, it's available, anybody else can buy it. And not only that, is that coin, it's not just a token that only works in Chuck E. Cheese. It kind of is, but here's the thing: right at the door, you can switch that out for real money. And because this one is, without getting deep into the woods, Rally, this specific platform, the Rally token has a ton of liquidity. You can trade it on Coinbase, everything like that. So if I decide, hey, I don't want my Blap coin anymore, right now, today, I can trade it for Rally, and then I can trade that Rally for dollars. So
got it.
it's real money. It in two steps you can turn it right back into actual dollars without any, I don't have to give it back to the original creator. And
There's
so anyways, that's kind of like one
there's one
thing.
thing.
What?
Okay, so help me understand this, and forgive my
Yeah.
ignorance here. So
No,
you're
you're good.
saying, we're using the term coin. So let's say, um the person gets a coin. Does that mean
Mhm.
they hold on to it? Coin singular, meaning like, I, there's no other coin or no other currency. I'm thinking of it as like a dollar bill.
No.
Okay, okay. But
Wait.
you're saying like the type of coin, right? So let's say I make
It's like a currency. Maybe that helps.
okay, yes. All right, perfect. That made it really easy for understand. Just breaking it down because it just helps me think that way. So
Yeah.
let's say we did the ill factor token. All right, I
Yes.
have
Exactly right.
30 ill factor tokens, right? Or
Hmm.
Beat Academy tokens. I have 30
Hmm.
Beat Academy tokens. Then
Hmm.
somebody else says, hey, I bought 500 of them because that
Hmm.
gets me level 7, this thing. And the more people who buy into this currency, right, the more value is derived of that currency because there's a wider audience to interchange that with. Does that make
Yes, because
sense?
I can go. Yes, exactly. And
Okay.
I can go to rally.io right now. I could look at the value of Blapcoin. I won't do it right now, but whatever. Let's say it's worth $2. I
Yeah.
buy 1,000. That gives me access to all this cool stuff. And then guess what? That community grows over the next 3 years. And now those 1,000 Blapcoin, I forget what math I just used, but whatever.
Yeah.
I bought 1,000 of them and they were $1 each. So I paid $1,000 for it. Now each Blapcoin is worth $5. So holy shit, not only did I get all this value out of it, now I'm actually going to make money as well. And you also, or let's say Illmind owns 40% of Blapcoin. So he benefits monetarily uh, just by people holding it because, again, the value goes up. And then you can get as creative as you want as far as all the products and services and everything that you're currently doing and more. You give access based off of them holding a certain amount or trading it in for a certain amount. So that's one piece. That's kind of like the creator coin piece. And so it
Yeah,
gives
yeah,
everybody this vested interest in you. And now you've got people who not only, want to be like, hey, Beat Academy is awesome because it's a great community and we want more cool people in there. But hey, if I can bring more people in, I actually I make money.
yeah,
It makes a community more awesome, but we have this vested interest. So that's one
yeah.
piece. What do you think?
No, I mean, it's the gears. I'm like, gears are starting to move. No, I
Yep.
totally. How has that impacted you and your vision for what you're planning? Because that seems about the most positive um thing. You're right. It is kind of nudging me into understanding. Yeah, that's there's so much great potential there
Mhm.
in and being able to then say, hey, you're not just becoming a member and consuming, you're becoming a member and have the ability to actually make or build wealth off of the community that we're
Yeah, and
creating
have
here.
a type of ownership. You're not
Oh,
technically
ownership,
giving up
right, right.
equity in your company, but it
Yes.
is a type of ownership.
Yeah. Yeah, got it, got it. Yeah, because the word, all these definitions, the word ownership gets thrown around loosely, and so you're
Mhm.
like, well, what are they really owning? What are they
Mhm.
owning? And what you're saying is, no, they're partaking in the value of the currency. They're owning the currency, and with more people owning the currency, the value of that currency goes up. So
Yeah,
that if
kind
you
of like
did
in
buy
that way,
50,
it's like a stock in that way.
exactly. I'm investing stock in Legion Beats or Beat Academy. So we're pretty much literally creating stock options for anybody who's willing to buy in, right?
Yes, but quick caveat: don't tell the SEC that Rally doesn't want you to call it an investment or a stock.
Yes.
What you're really supposed to emphasize is the utility that you get from it.
Got it.
Otherwise, it can be considered a different class, and that's a whole different problem.
Yeah, yeah, that's good you
But
mentioned it. But
but
like,
the actual practical thing is, yeah.
yeah. No, that's awesome. Bro, that's really cool. That I never really thought of it that way.
So
Um, thanks, bro.
so
Thanks for the
yeah.
nudge.
So that's one. And then the NFT thing that I've just come to more recently, it's kind of the same thing. Is that it's just more of a like a limited run type of thing. So
Yeah.
and then it's just all about basically what this NFT is. It's your pass. It's your ticket to whatever you want it to be, right? So maybe again, it's your ticket to Beat Academy. It's your ticket to weekly live coaching. It's your ticket to this book. It's your ticket to this live event. It's your ticket to all these different things. And so there's a couple reasons. So first of all, that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
And technically, you could just say, hey, I'm gonna sell a pass, and it's however much money, and you get all those things. It doesn't have to be an NFT, right? One of the cool things about the NFT is that it's going to be on this marketplace, right? Wherever you do it, OpenSea, or you can actually do it through Rally or whatever. And so people buy that NFT, they get all the value from it. They can hop into your Discord, they can go to this event, they can get access to your membership, all these kinds of things. And now there's a secondary market that's just built in. They can basically press a button and say, you know what, I think I'm ready to move on, or I bought 3 of these early or whatever. And now I'm going to sell this, and somebody else can go buy that on that secondary market. And you can build into that contract that every time it gets sold, you, as the original creator, gets a percentage, like let's say 10% or whatever. So now all of a sudden there's this secondary market because it's like,
Oh,
oh yeah, having Beat Academy, like, you used to be able to get it for $60, but now it's $100 or $500 or whatever. But if you hold this NFT, you have access for a year. Maybe there's a secondary market uh, for that. Is that kind of making sense?
yeah, no, yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense. Because I always heard somebody like, "Oh, yes, the royalties off of that," but like royalties off of what? Because I'm thinking royalties in the traditional sense of songwriting and the publishing aspect. But yeah, that makes sense that you can embed it in the smart contract that when this specific non-fungible token, this NFT is sold, I, the original owner or creator of that NFT, gets a 10% cut of every sale. So technically it could be sold 12 times and I'm getting a cut from all that. And
Every
because if
single
the
time.
value of that, if it goes higher, so if it's being sold, first it got sold for 300, now 3,000, then 300,000, huge potential off of it. Yeah.
Exactly right. And then you can do all kinds of, I mean, you can get super deep into it, but you can be like, okay, I'm going to do 1,000 of these NFTs. And then this is where you get sort of that, okay, it's like a Bored Ape thing, and some of them wear a hat and some of them wear whatever. And all that seems pretty dumb until you say, you know what, I'm going to put some utility into that. So if you get one of the ones that has a hat, that means that, you get to join these weekly coaching calls. But there's only like 5% of them that have that. So it's more rare. And then part of the fun is when you get on the whitelist, which means you get to mint them, which means you're not buying it on the secondary market. You're the first person to buy it. You don't know which one you're getting. So there's kind of like this dopamine rush of like this thing of like, okay, I'm going to mint one. Let's see which one I get. Man, I hope I get the one of 100. That means I get a one-on-one with Ill Factor. But then maybe you do get it, and then you're like, ooh, this is pretty dope, but I bet on the secondary market I could get something for and then you trade them, or you say, hey, there's 5
Got it.
different color backgrounds. For if anybody collects all 5 different color backgrounds, then Ill Factor is going to come to your house and cook you dinner. So then there becomes this fun, like, okay,
It's
we're going to
like
trade them.
freaking like comic cards. When I used to collect comic cards, like you go all these packs, and I was like, oh, I got the freaking hologram. Like out of 75 packs, I finally got this one. This is the one worth one. Dude, I have to
But
say,
the
man,
difference for me, and I'm sorry, I know I'm talking a lot, but
yeah,
I'm just like starting to get excited about this stuff. The difference between the trading cards, which doesn't interest me that much, is that trading card is actually a ticket to an incredible conference, or it's a
right.
ticket to, that's they call it the utility in the, right?
That's
That's the
the
part that's
utility
more
aspect.
interesting to me.
Right. That is all the utilities are what I'm really excited about as well.
Right.
Because what it's being broadcasted, I think, from afar off from a lot of the people who are lost in so much of the information is you look at it and it's like it's a digital, it's like a duck my kid drew on clip art or something. Why
Right.
am I gonna pay 75,000? We're not
Right.
seeing the utility that's being used underneath that's doing all that. I think you've probably broken this down the best that I've heard anywhere else.
Hey.
So thank you, bro. It was good.
Okay. Did I
Well,
nudge you? I nudge you a little
yeah,
bit?
you nudge me. I'll probably buy a
Okay.
digital cow. No, I've seen the absolute yeah, I see the potential in it. And I think maybe even just that has to be an undertaking of creating a like you got to build a good foundation to run on that. Like for my business, I was like, hey, if I'm gonna implement that into Beat Academy, that's something I'm like, okay, that's like a restructuring of a lot of things right now. But yeah, I could totally see the potential in that. Because then you can even just do crypto. I love the rally. I love the crypto for communities because that's
Yeah.
such a great. I see that because that it's always about empowering also the member,
Yeah.
empowering the person coming into the community. And I'm all for that because then it's like, look, guys, as we grow, your investment in this community grows as well. And I really like that vision. I like that a lot. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, and you can do some cool stuff with that where like I know some people take it to extreme where like they literally pay some or all of their team members in their coin. And now all the team members have this vested interest in it getting better. And anyways, we've got I know time. I appreciate your time. I know we're like
Oh
way
yeah, yeah.
over. But this has been a fun conversation. At least for me. I hope other people
Yeah.
have. I don't know.
No, no, it has, man. It has been really enlightening. I thought I was just gonna bring more to the table. I don't know if you wanted to talk about anything else, but
We'll
yeah.
have to do another one because I think I probably talked a lot. We'll
I'm
be.
totally down.
I'll actually
Listen,
introduce you. We'll talk about you next
no,
time.
I'm totally down, man. I'm totally down. And if you know what, even if leading up to another one, you ask your
Yeah,
audience, hey, we're gonna talk about music production. Are there anything specifically you want to focus in on? And we could do that too, man. We can
that would
go.
be fun. That might be a fun one to do live.
Yeah, let's do that one. We can book
Cool.
it. You get your audience on, and we can just knock out some things live. That way, at least
Perfect.
they're pulling some things from it that can really help them.
Perfect. Perfect. All right, man. Well, I'll
This
I'll
is,
let you go.
hey, bro, you made me you made me a believer. So
All right. All right. I like it. I like it. One thing too, by the way, check out what Illmind is doing with Squad of Nights. If you go to squadofnights.com
that's what I
and
was
check out,
talking about. The Knights, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I've been watching Ill. I've been hitting him up, and he's been telling me about the whole Squad of Knights. He's creating a community. Um, and I say it's like, yeah, granted, that's what I'm essentially doing with Beat Academy. I'm just not
Sure.
creating a crypto attached to it.
Sure.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, but now some of the gears are starting to turn, right? Of like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
but
yeah.
if we did, then and of course, hey, bring it back to what we were first talking about, focus, roadmap. Don't obviously you already know you don't say yes to everything that looks cool, and maybe the
Right.
timing's not right, but at least it
Well, that's what I meant earlier. I was have to like, I just now have a clear roadmap of what I need to be doing, and now I'll add that in phase two of of the year or something.
yeah,
Um, but dude, yeah, thank you. That's a lot of really cool stuff to consider.
cool, man.
Are
All
you
right,
how's it impacted you? How's it like?
we haven't launched anything yet. So at this point, I've done a lot of. I mean, all of this is so recent, like literally in the last couple months. Like I was where you were at couple months ago, where I was like, yeah, okay, it sounds like in a few years this will be cool, and I don't care about it, whatever.
Right.
So I again we'll see this. We've actually banked a bunch of podcasts, which for me is good because usually I'm like last minute. So this probably won't come out for another, I don't know, month at least or something like that. So we might have something out by that time, but we're planning on doing actually both, of doing rally, having a creator coin, and then also doing a big NFT project. And actually, now that I think about it, we are doing a much smaller NFT project that's part of this beat pack that we're about to launch. We're just, one of the bonuses is you get access to these listening sessions that we're doing throughout the year, and that is in the form of an NFT. So it's like a single use thing,
Got
as
it.
compared to like what Illmind's doing with Squad of Knights, where it's this huge community thing, which we are planning on doing something like that too. So
And
yeah,
that's more of the rally coin. That's the rally IO. The squad.
two different things. So Squad of Knights is not on Rally. So Squad of Knights is more like on OpenSea and kind of like the NFT world, let's say.
Okay.
And there's certain advantages and disadvantages to that. And Rally is kind of its own thing that has a lot of advantages and disadvantages as well. Without getting super deep into it, what I first really liked about Rally is it really bridges Web 2.0 and Web 3.0, meaning if I want to go buy some Blapcoin, I can literally click a button, I go to his page, I click buy, and I can enter my credit card, and now I own some Blapcoin.
Got
Really
it.
easy. If I want to get a Squad of Knights NFT or one of these NFTs that we're going to do later, you have to get a
A
crypto
wallet.
wallet like MetaMask. You have to figure out how to get some Ethereum in there. You have to go,
That was always my hesitation. It's like,
Mhm.
look, we're in the business of even trying to help somebody just get their regular credit card in to begin with, or PayPal, Um, so
Mhm.
adding extra hoops for the people to jump through is not like
Yeah,
what I'm looking at right now. But yeah,
yeah. But
thanks
that
so
is
much
one of
for
the
the
appeals
clarity.
of Rally is they make it pretty straightforward.
That's cool.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, this has been a longer podcast. I've been trying to make them shorter, but
Yeah, yeah.
I just had fun having this conversation, so I just
No, me too, man. Me too. Appreciate it, brother. Let me know what else, man. So if you wanted to do a live Q&A thing, I'm totally down for
let's
that too.
let's definitely do that. While we wrap up here, let's let the people know best place to find you. Anything else you want to wrap up with? What you got coming up?
Yeah,
Any of that
sure.
kind of stuff.
So just definitely check out beatacademy.com and take advantage of all the resources that are available there. And so, there's a couple things that, as I don't know, by the time this is launched, the new site would be up, and that roadmap is there. So if you want to take that next step with music production, visit beatacademy.com.
Dope.
All right,
Ill
brother.
Factor. Appreciate your time.
My man. You too, bro. Thanks, brother.